The only thing I can do,
Get a picture of her
because I am a product of my time, is to pick this up with a silent prayer, which I usually do when I enter these places. I acknowledge my ancestors. I want them to know that I've not forgotten them or that they are not forgotten. We're in different times. I can't help what goes on in this time today in the screwy society we're in. If we do not collect this and put it in a safekeeping, then it may very well end up on eBay and somebody's made a few bucks off of it. That is the tragedy. Now, you could probably take this back, but I'm not of this land. I don't know where it came from. I don't know whereabouts within the burial ground that it might have come from. You know, and that's your choice as the landowner, whether or not you want to take it back here and reinter it. That's your choice. But I think what is important today is that, you know, you've well documented it. I've done my best to tell you what little I know about it. So the choice is really yours. You can choose to leave it here. You can do whatever you want with it, but that's
Carmen,
my recommendation.
what is your first and last name?
Carmen Lucas.
And you're a Native American Indian?
I am.
Where do you live?
I live in Laguna Mountains.
Laguna in San Diego County.
In San Diego County.
And where are you at today?
I'm in El Monte Valley. I'm on the private property of, your name?
I'm Trish Dignan. It's Mildred Dignan.
I'm on her property with her permission. These young boys have brought me here so that I could see this. So that's all I can do.
And what do you have in your hands there?
I have a pipe fragment, and it's you know, it's grave goods. Comes from burial ground. So somewhere within this complex, because of the drainage, this has been washed up from something. Now, that's not an open door, and I don't want that out to the public, because the public is greedy and they're treasure hunters and they want to come and pilfer everything. That's why I think it's terribly important that as a landowner you acknowledge what you have on your land and you do what you feel is the right thing to do as far as protecting the history and that type of thing. So again, this is your choice, not mine. I will tell you, as an Indian, this is what I do. I pick them up because I don't want them growing legs and walking away. It becomes part of the archaeological collection that belongs to Laguna with my ancestors. And, you know, hopefully your family would have the same respect and dignity. Now, there's always the long-term consequences with development and all of this, or, you know, in the future the property's going to be sold. Somebody's going to come in and do development, and then all of these things are impacted worse than they are today. So you have to look into the future and you have to decide what are the consequences of what I do today. And for this, you know, this is a remarkable piece that was used quite a bit. You can see all the black carbon here. So somebody said a lot of prayers with this. So this was meaningful to somebody, and this is why it's considered grave goods. Still holds the essence of whoever ever had this. So, you know, again, for me personally, as part of this enormous corridor that validates the sacredness of a time that once was. So,
Could you explain what the detail of that thing was, the shape of it and stuff, and how it was used?
This is a clay pipe. When I say clay pipe, I'm talking about clay of the earth from right here. Okay, sometimes we find clay items that might be clay from the desert. You can tell the difference with the naked eye. Sometimes you get this intellectual mumbo-jumbo where scientists think if they cut these things in half, they can look at it and tell you roughly whereabouts the soils came from. But San Diego County is made up, like most soils, of feldspar and quartz and sand and all of these things. So this probably has all of those ingredients in it. So we don't need to violate this item with that. You asked me to describe what it may have looked like in Southern California. To my knowledge, it's only Southern California, but it could be up and down the state. These pipes were made in a flute fashion, you know, much like the horn of plenty. It's small here and wider here, and has a curve. And it has a handle here. You see that this handle's been broken. you'll see that it has a hole here, so it was probably carried on a thong of some type. It was stuffed with the native tobacco, not this tobacco that came from Spain, but the native tobacco. And these were personable items. That's why I keep referring to it as a grave goods, because when somebody dies, we normally break these and put them with the grave, or a year after it goes with the spirit to keep it along with what it is that they need in the afterlife. But these, when they were used, were not like a pipe like you see in Hollywood, nor like what your grandpa sat in easy chair smoking. These were used primarily for prayer. You puffed it 4 times, you blew the smoke to the 4 directions, and that was basically it. So again, the smoke is just like the sage. It purifies you, builds your own environment around you, and protects you, and those type of things. So again, it's of the land here, and what you folks are helping to validate. You have the physical evidence here. I would strongly recommend that you collect it and ask your mother to keep it in safekeeping.
Okay.
Thank you, Carmen.
And sometime before the next rain, I would check all your drainages, particularly if you know where your village site was or burial ground. I'm hesitant to say burial ground because I don't know that that's what you have, but in all likelihood you do. But I would check those areas and see, number one, make sure that if it is a burial ground that it's not being eroded out, and that some measures be taken to protect those old folks and that type of thing. So okay. Hopefully I've not given you more information than what you need.
No, no.
So.
Yeah, okay.
That's more like it.
Now what is this for?
Well, they really don't know. Different ones want to make something out of it, but I believe that they were associated with medicine, meaning...
Janice, those 2 little ones right there, that's what she's talking about. Oh, no. Yeah, the bigger ones, they have the smaller ones.
Okay.
She said that one is, might have used for medicine. And
If you want to hand me your video, you get this from this angle without your shadow.
okay.
So.
You can tell what that is, Carmen. Go ahead and give us a little...
Well, you know, again, I can only tell you what I've learned with folks I work with, but you have some milling features here. These are the basins, unlike the Cuyamaca ovals that we just talked about. This one, I think, might possibly be a result of the wind. See how that goes back, but I could be wrong. But I don't feel that baby spot in there. But this guy is what we call a cupule, and sometimes they sit on the ridge of a boulder. But those are most often what I refer to as being used with medicine. Now, different ones are trying to, when I say different ones, I'm talking about the archaeological profession, are trying to put that into the category of rock art. I don't think I agree with them. I think they had their purpose other than, ceremonial rock art type of thing that people like to add that mysticism to it. I think our people were highly intelligent. What is interesting, I remember one time going to my Chinese doctor, and she had a little pedestal with a little bowl that she was busting up the herbs in. My brother was a pharmacist, so he had the same thing that he used, and it's very reminiscent of what we see here. So when you see a number of them, I think, if you're grinding up different herbs for medicine, it's a good way to measure it out, because you don't want more than what you need.
That makes sense.
You just kind of take what you need, and that's all. So.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
I'll show you if you want to.
Can you see what I'm talking about
Yeah.
here? I think maybe somebody's shadow is on this. So you have a shelf here.
Right.
You have a grinding surface here.
Right.
And you begin to see there's a little bit of grease and oil in here.
Right.
So that's probably left over from a time that was. But you'll also see where there's a shelf here.
Right.
And then see, as the sun hits this, you see all these little pukas here.
Right.
That's because somebody also used it as a grinding stone.
Ah.
So these things are highly important and highly significant. Now,